My name is Pat Christie. I'm an industrial designer and social innovator and entrepreneur living in Vancouver, British Columbia. I initially came to Vancouver about 10 years ago to attend the Daly Co University of Art and Design. I wanted to pursue the field of industrial design because I was just really interested in the idea of putting things together for a living and making things with actual physical materials. So during my time at Daly Co, a really exciting part is we got to play with materials across the board. You know, the school had amazing facilities, amazing instructors, and a lot of capacity to do a lot of interesting things. And so throughout my 4 years there, I was working with wood, of course, my favorite material to date, ceramics, metal, 3D printing and plastics had started to come in, so that became part of it, fabrics, textiles, and of course, you know, the fundamentals of art and design, painting, drawing, all the different mediums, printmaking, silk screening. So it was a really fun playground to just get my hands dirty in all sorts of materials.
So this is a Sitka spruce burl. The burl came from Haida Gwaii. The burl's a wart that grows off the side of a tree. And as a result, you get this amazing grain because the tree's not growing straight, it's growing all confused and like this. So you get this amazing figure. So here we got some western white birch. It's a really nice material found locally. And Pacific Yew is a tree that he actually can't cut down. So when you get a hold of a chunk of it, it's really nice, but it's super dense and heavy. So generally in this wood shop, we try to buy material from person to person. You know, we find people who are selling a batch of wood in which they have cut down, and we try to buy that batch of wood. And we really try to steer away buying from larger groups and companies because we don't know the origin of the material, and that's really important to us. So if I know that Jim cut down a tree and he slabbed all this red cedar, that's a personal relationship I have with that material. One of the things I decided to do is set the constraint on myself of only being able to work with BC materials. The purpose behind this choice was, as a designer who really cared about Canada, who really cared about the coast, I wanted to be working with things that would really communicate our identity on what it means to design on the West Coast and design in Canada. And that's so much grounded in what materials we have available to us right in our backyard. One of my mentors, his name was Paul. He's the guy who taught me a lot about what I know about wood and about materials and about working with people in a collaborative way to produce results. And one of the big things I took away from a lot of our conversations is this idea of the value in the material is how you treat it. And in the context of his work, it was with creativity. And that creativity, as applied to a material, is something that can increase the value of that material. It can make it worth more than its value in just the material itself. Creativity is something that increases the aesthetic, the touch, the feel. It considers all these things that take something that's completely raw and moves it into a polished, finished object. Let's talk about context. So for us, in this project, the context means the building, what's going on inside, the facade, what's going on outside, the people, who's passing by here and going in and out on a regular basis, the neighborhood, what's going on in the surrounding area, the businesses, what types of people and companies are occupying these spaces, the history, what's gone on in the life of this neighborhood, the change, what has happened that has shifted and made things different over time, the movements, what's emerging and why, what are these people doing, culture, the diversity of people who are settling in this region. If awarded this project by Vancity, we would take the following 5 steps. The first step in this is doing more research, adding to what we already know. The second step would be a location study, understanding its weather, sun, and people patterns outside this location. The third step would be happening throughout the first 2 steps. Materials, doing research into what is out there that would be perfect, that would meet the durability requirements of this project. After these first 3 steps are completed, we'd pull that information together in the 4th step, which is the creation of a physical maquette. We choose to use a maquette because it promotes an aspect of play. And by making a physical maquette, and by making something you can play with, you now are able to create an environment where collaborative design can exist. Collaborative design is something that just can't happen. You have to set the stage for collaborative design to emerge. The last step in our process to complete the circle is design. And what we mean by design in this is pulling all the parts and pieces that we've gathered together into a solution that is grounded specifically in the requirements for the facade and the building itself.